We've arrived at our top 5. Now, before we jump in, a reminder, this list is a non-scientific and only represents the thoughts and opinions of the New Mexico in Focus team, with some help and input from a few others as well. We'd love for you to chime in with your thoughts on our Facebook page. I'd love to read those over the holiday. Now, back to finish off the list this week is our working journalists, the line panel from around the state. We welcome Jessica Onsures, news director at the Carlsbad Current-Argus. Also with us is Julianne Grimm. She's the editor and publisher of the Santa Fe Reporter. Andy Lyman is back. He's a reporter at the New Mexico Political Report. And Capitol Bureau Chief for the Albuquerque Journal, Dan Boyd, is with us as well. All right, guys, our 5th story of the year is climate change and all it entails. This is one that made everyone's list as we voted in some way or another. And Jessica, I think you had it close to the top of your list, if I recall. What did you see in your coverage that had this in the front of your mind?
Our portion of the state is huge oil and gas development. So climate change is one of those primary topics that we talk about all the time. We run into the issue of pollution, air pollution, ozone pollution. We run into the issue of polluting of our natural and public lands here and of our water sources as well. So when we talk about climate change, we're talking about that general impact from industry point of view, but also we are seeing a lot of activity from environmental organizations in the state. I feel, in my opinion, recently really addressing the issue.
Dan Boyd, not COVID dependent, though. The Trump administration asked early on for some industries to police themselves. Any impact you saw from this?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could maybe argue either way that maybe opened up some new federal lands in New Mexico to oil and gas activities, which on the one hand benefits state revenues, but on the other hand, I think there is concern, like Jessica mentioned, about the environmental impact of that. And I think looking ahead now with President-elect Biden, there's been talk about maybe banning new oil leases on federal land and what that could mean for New Mexico. So I think we are kind of seemingly at a crossroads here on some of those issues and not quite sure yet what that'll look like going forward. But obviously New Mexico, is at the forefront of that. And given some of the oil and gas development in the Permian and the advances in technology, but also the real concern about the way some things are trending and protecting our natural resources for the future.
Hey, Andy, you mentioned the Rio Grande drying in one of the bullets on your list. Something we might see, but the impact of it, what it means for water users downstream, or our battle with Texas. What's the upshot you might be seeing for 2021 here?
I don't think that this year was a ton different than other years, and probably next year would be, I would say, the same. It's kind of this ongoing thing. And again, the theme of all of this pandemic is sort of highlighting stuff that we were able to look over before. The river, especially down in Jessica's area, right? The river dries up every year to absolutely nothing. But then when you start to put all these other things together, that our state's actually in another crisis, it sort of puts it right in front of our face, I think.
Yeah. Julianne, you mentioned in your list another waterway, the Gila, and the choice to forego building a dam or large diversion. Interesting point there. Where does that sit now? Where does that sit on your list for 2020?
So the story that the Santa Fe Reporter published earlier in the year that was written by Laura Paskus had the headline, "Dead in the Water." And I think that's a good way to bring folks up to speed on this issue. This project is over for now. This is maybe the third time in recent contemporary history that the U.S. government has tried to encourage a diversion structure on the Gila River in southwestern New Mexico. This is an area that's been, there's a huge wilderness there, the Aldo Leopold Wilderness Area, and this is a beloved natural resource treasure. And I think it was a project that not a lot of people saw the benefit of. The state did go ahead and spend $17 million of federal funding on planning for this project that had a estimated price tag, should it have been built, of $1 billion. That's with a B. But you saw in 2019 that Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham vetoed the state funding that would have been required to kind of keep going in this planning process. And then this year in 2020, the Interstate Stream Commission voted to end its contribution to environmental studies funding. And so those two things really were the proverbial nail on the coffin for that project. But someone I know who has lived down in this neck of the woods for the last 20 years or so said that he really thought, should this project get to the stage of groundbreaking, that people are so passionate they would be laying down in front of the bulldozers. That was his way of saying, this is never going to happen. Right. And so for what we can tell now, the Gila diversion project is not going to happen. That still means there's a conflict with New Mexico's complicated water rights and sharing water with Arizona and providing water for agriculture and for communities in that part of the state. And that hasn't been resolved.
Mm-hmm. Before we move on to our next subject, we should note as well the forest fires that plagued us this year, certainly the smoke. That's certainly the folks in Santa Fe had to deal with, in Albuquerque as well. It's on to our fourth biggest story of the year, and we should let you know that the 2, 3, 4 distinction was for us almost moot. They were also important. They were all of them very important, but COVID's impact on New Mexico's economy was undeniably important. And Dan Boyd, let me start with you on this one, because governments really had to scramble to adjust their budgets as the pandemic settled in. Take us through what you saw and covered at the state level.
Yeah, I think it's fundamentally altered the state's economy. The legislature has had a couple special sessions, most recently here in November, a single-day special session, including passing expanded unemployment benefits for workers, business grants, for businesses who've been affected by the pandemic. But I think the combination of just people's shopping habits changing and then the business restrictions certainly imposed by the state have really had a big impact on businesses and workers. I think, is striking recently in a report about the state's revenue outlook that actually retail sales are up. People are still buying, but they're buying online. Small business retail is about down 40%. So I think remains to be seen whether that's the new normal going forward. But certainly we've seen a lot of businesses, a lot of restaurants going out of business, and they probably won't be back. And I think that's, unfortunately going to be kind of the new landscape going forward. And maybe some new businesses will emerge post-pandemic to kind of fill those vacancies. But I don't think that's a given.
That's a good point there. Jessica, I've got a question for you, and I'd like Julianne to follow up with her own take on this as well. But Jessica, cities or areas like yours certainly rely on tourist income, and that seems like it would be a killer. In fact, for some businesses it was a killer, as Dan just mentioned. But how does the southeastern part of the state weathering this storm here? And then I'll cut to Santa Fe in a quick second.
We had a 1-2 punch with the decline in oil and gas. We lost a lot of the business that was being generated by workers who were coming in for that industry. Mm-hmm. And then that was followed by COVID. As Dan said, the closure of non-essential businesses to the public. We also, with the loss of tourism, it was just kind of the largest kicker. We have tons of hotels that are standing empty. We have restaurants that cater to that specific clientele that are just shuttered for good, as far as we can tell. Mm-hmm. We know that the number of visitations to state and national parks and public lands and recreational areas and all of southern New Mexico have gone down by more than half. And they're bouncing back, yes, but will it be enough to recover? That's still a question.
Jess, I got to ask you one more thing, though. You had a lot of restaurants in your area that defied the orders to close. How impactful was that on business? Was that infectious? Does other people catch on to that and defy it as well? Or what happened there?
I think that was the rising sentiment was we are behind them 100%. We understand their concerns. We know they are essential to our communities. We're very rural, so we don't have a lot of them. And the ones that we do have provide a service that is important to us. When a number of these restaurants got together with the New Mexico Association to basically say this is going to kill us, this is going to completely strand us. The thought was that they probably won't get far. We knew that the state was pretty serious when it came to enforcement of these the closure notices, and then the fines hit, and it got really serious really quickly. the overall thought is that they had to take up the fight. There was no question that they had to start questioning whether or not mandates made sense for us down here.
Julianne, again, to Santa Fe, I'm interested in your take on restaurants particularly. I mean, here we are, the new year is like right in front of us, and there was reporting a month ago that upwards of thousands and thousands of restaurants were going to close by the end of the year unless, something drastic happened. But Santa Fe, how's it been for Santa Fe hanging in there, especially with the tourist money?
Yeah, we are, vastly dependent on the restaurant and hospitality industry. I think it provides a lot of jobs in our community. It provides gross receipts, tax revenue that's used by all the levels of government, to provide services. It's really a big part of the Santa Fe economy. And so, yeah, we had for most of the summer, the largest hotels in the city were not open for most of the summer. Even as things began to return, they're returning at an extremely limited capacity, and people being discouraged to travel both within the state and between states. That's had a big effect on right now hotels in the red counties, which is 32 of the 33 counties in the state. Yeah. Our hotels are limited to 25 or 40% capacity, depending on whether they have a state certification. But that doesn't mean that they're actually booking at that capacity. So, for example, I know some folks who spent the night in Taos a week or so ago, and they stayed at a hotel that had a capacity of more than 70 rooms, and there were 7 rooms booked that night. So if a hotel is operating at 10% capacity, you don't have to be able to do much math to know that's not sustainable.
That's right. That's not the business model for success, for long-term success, certainly. Andy Lyman, Albuquerque was the only city in the state that automatically got a disbursement from the CARES Act because of our size. How's that city responded in ways that you've noticed?
I think that they've been pushing money to wherever they can. I keep getting press releases to say, I think I just got one the other day announcing some more CARES Act, not more CARES Act money, but more appropriations. I think starting out, the big thing for, and I guess every city, but especially Albuquerque, was to use that money for the missing gross receipts tax revenue. Right. Because we're not necessarily as dependent on tourism as other places in the state, but that without going to stores or restaurants, that revenue goes down. So I think that's their big push, is they would like to sort of supplement that money.
Okay, we'll have to leave that there. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.